Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to show you how to determine if you have a bad fan clutch on your vehicle. Now, this happens to be an '89 Chevy K1500, but if you have a mechanical fan on your car or truck and you want to determine if your fan clutch is bad, I'm going to show you how we can do that. Okay, so this engine has not been run in about 16 hours. It's ambient temperature, which is about 75 degrees right now. So the first thing you want to do is, with the engine off and cold, we want to do a quick test. We want to take the fan blade, just like I'm doing right here, and you want to see and feel the resistance, and you want to try to spin it. Just go ahead and spin it in the direction that it normally operates. This is a reverse rotation fan. Some fans will turn clockwise, some will turn counterclockwise. It doesn't matter. But either way, what you want to do is try to spin it. Now, as you can see, as I'm spinning this, it's instantly stopping. Now, the way that the fan clutch works, most of them have a fluid inside the fan clutch itself. It's got ports in there, and it's also got a heat sensor or bimetal strip on the front side that, as the temperature that's going across the fan, as it gets hotter, this fan will allow some fluid to go out into the ports on the outside of the clutch, and it will make this fan harder to turn, thereby drawing more air across the radiator. So this is completely normal to have the fan have resistance when it's cold. If you can take this fan and spin it and it just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning, that doesn't necessarily mean that the fan is bad yet. Because what we want is, we want this to basically freewheel when it's cooler, because you don't want a lot of air going across the radiator. It will always have some, but what you want is you want the engine to be able to heat up fast, and by doing pulling less air across the radiator, the engine will warm up faster. When the engine is hot, you want it to pull a lot of air so that it will cool the engine properly. So do that test first, and next we're going to start it up, and I'm going to leave the camera running. I want you to hear there may be a slight roar from the fan as we crank it up, just because the fan is a little bit tight. All right, so the fan is pulling quite a bit of air across the radiator right now. With the engine being cold, that's not really what you want, unless your air conditioning were running. Listen to the sound of the fan when I rev it up a little bit. Right. So hopefully you can hear the sound of the fan a little bit over the sound of the engine. That's why I have the camera over here, because the exhaust is on the other side. So what I'm going to do is, we are going to let this engine get up to complete operating temperature, and then I'm going to show you the difference that it makes. Now, there's a thing called I believe it's called a dollar bill test, and I'm going to show you that test right now. I'm going to take a dollar bill. I'm going to redeploy the camera over here so you can see and kind of visualize how much air it's actually pulling across the radiator. Okay, so if you can take a dollar bill or a piece of paper that's similar to that, and you can put it in front of the radiator and it sticks, that is the suction from the fan right now, currently. Okay, it'll just stick there, just like that. Now, there are some devices called CFM testers that you could measure the amount of air that it's pulling right now, but it is significant. This happens to be the condenser right here, and then if the camera can pick this up, right here that my hand's on, this is my auxiliary transmission cooler. And there's a lot of air movement right here. And just on the other side of this condenser, is the radiator. So we're gonna let this warm up completely, and then I'm gonna show you the difference. All right, so we are up to operating temperature now, and if you guys could feel the lack of air that's coming through here, there's almost no air whatsoever. There is a little bit, but the problem is if you were sitting in traffic, idling, you have the air conditioning on, you're not going to get very good cooling. Now this truck has a very heavy duty cooling system from the factory. It's got a big radiator, it's got an oil cooler on it, transmission cooler, auxiliary cooler, and the truck doesn't overheat. That's not the symptom, but there's almost no airflow coming across the radiator, the condenser, or anything. All right, so what I've done is I went ahead and took the old fan clutch and assembly out. I did not even have to remove the fan shroud from the vehicle. It was able to slip out. There are 4 nuts that hold the flange to the water pump, and I'm taking out these bolts right here, which attaches the fan to the clutch. Okay, so that's all it is. Comes right off, and then this will fit on there just like that. And it doesn't matter which way it goes. All right, so there it is. Just gonna fish it in. It's probably gonna be easier to do than the other one because the clutch, fan clutch is smaller, so see? Super easy. Just be mindful of your radiator. All right, so there it is. You've got 4 nuts here that attach the flange to the water pump pulley, and then of course there are the bolts that I put in there. So we're gonna, let me reattach the battery here and we'll crank it up and see if we can hear or see any difference. All right, so just sitting here, again, the engine is warm. It's going to take, I don't know, a couple minutes maybe for that spring, as it's drawing air through the radiator, which is hot, it's heating the spring up, and it's going to allow the fan to lock up more. But this is pulling an enormous amount of air. Like my hand is probably 6 inches away from the condenser, and the amount of air that it's pulling in, I can tell, is significantly more than, and also the amount of air that it's blowing over the engine is already significantly more than what the old fan clutch was doing. I do want to mention one thing. I turned the air conditioning compressor on, and the compressor is supposed to cycle on and off, but what this compressor was doing was it was cycling about every 5 seconds, and it has not. I turned it on probably more than a minute ago, and it is not cycling off. So what that is telling me is that when it was sitting here idling, the high side pressure was starting to spike up because there wasn't so much airflow like there is now. But that's amazing that right there made that big of a difference just from the air conditioning. So it's very important, if you're doing air conditioning work, you need to make sure your cooling system, especially the air going across the radiator, is where it's supposed to be. Anyway guys, hopefully that helped, and there's going to be a lot more videos coming out about overhauling the air conditioning system et cetera. And we'll be doing that a little bit later as we continue to improve the Chevy here. And I will talk to you guys on the next video.